Hey guys, welcome to Next Gen Tactics Modern Warfare 3 Search and Destroy Rush Tactics Show, Episode 1, Class Setup. Our first few episodes are going to focus on some search basics such as class setup, planning and adapting your tactics, and some simple tips to help advance your game. Then we'll delve into some solid map-specific strategies. So let's get on to our recommended class setup. So let's take a look at our primary weapon. When we're rushing, the main stat we want to look for with weapons is a mobility. We're rushing. We need to move quickly. We need to get in there before the enemy player gets there. That narrows it down. We've got two weapon categories that have the highest mobility available: submachine guns and shotguns. It's up to you guys. You can use shotguns if you want. I typically stick with submachine guns. I'll use MP5, or I've been known to use the MP5, really, or the MP7 I've been using as well, or the PM9. So for the proficiency, I'll typically go with kick. I'd like the reduced recoil when I'm firing. The only other one that I'd probably consider is possibly focus. I don't usually go with stability because I never aim down my sights anyway. For those of you that don't typically use silencers, which is the one other thing I'm going to suggest on your weapon, then you may want to consider using attachment proficiency so you can add a sight to your weapon. So we're going to select kick. I like to have that reduced recoil. I always use a silencer. I don't want to show up on the enemy's minimap. I don't want them to know where I am. Outside of having a UAV and maybe not having assassin as perk 2, but when I'm firing my weapon, I don't want other people on the enemy team to know where I'm firing from unless they're in close range and they actually see me or can hear the silenced weapon firing. Up to you. As far as camouflage, you can choose red camouflage because apparently that adds stopping power. Just kidding, it does not. Okay, that's our primary. We're going to go to secondary. So what are we going to use as a secondary? Well, what I look for in the secondary is if I'm in a pinch and I need to switch weapons, I need to do it with some speed. Handguns are going to give you that. They have the quickest swap time available. Next would be machine pistols and I guess launchers. We really wouldn't recommend running RPG-7. I have seen people do it. You want to get flamed. Anyways, we're going to stay with the handguns. I like the P99s myself. It's up to you what you want to use. I actually go for the Akimbo P99s. That's pretty cool. I've been using that lately. So that's the secondary. So we have our primary and secondary weapons. Let's take a look now at our equipment. For our lethal equipment, I'll always use the Claymore. I like having the Claymore available to place in locations to either protect my flank, to cover highly traveled pathways, or to protect routes in after we've got the bomb plan. Let's say on offense, I can set a Claymore to protect one route in while I cover another route, so I can cover two routes myself. If you don't have it unlocked, I'd stick with Frag and or Semtex, then maybe go with the Bouncing Betty, and then with the Claymore once you have it unlocked. Bouncing Betties, they're okay, but it doesn't matter on your of your placement with them. They can be avoided quite easily. People, I think, are used to avoiding them. All you have to do is go prone, no matter where you place that Bouncing Betty. Whereas Claymores, Claymore placement is an art, and we've gone through this before in Modern Warfare 2, COD 4, Black Ops. I didn't actually like the Claymores in Black Ops, but placement is key. I can usually place them at strategic locations on the maps that will get me kills more often than not. And even if you don't get the kill, you'll still get an indication. They got Stalker Pro, hey, you'll still hear the click of that Claymore going, being activated. It won't go off, but you'll still hear it. You get hit markers. It's a good indication even if you don't get that kill of somebody trying to travel through that pathway. Alright, moving on to our tactical equipment. I like And I've had some discussions about this on Twitter today, actually, the differences between the flash and concussion grenades. I like to use those. There are a couple of other items that are probably half decent here. I wouldn't say, you know, for a rush class, you'd want Scrambler or EMP. Smoke, potentially on a couple of maps, depending on your rush route. Smoke can be beneficial, and we probably get into that once we go through the maps individually. And the only other one, yeah, you want to use attack insert on search, sure, is the portable radar. But I'd like to, you know, when I'm rushing, I will throw concussions or flashes at, you know, in locations where I am expecting enemies to be rushing on the opposite side. I either stun them or flash them, and I can take them out a lot easier. Now, the difference between concussion and flash, I believe they're pretty similar. I mean, if you're using quick draw, I think the throw time is about the same. You might have a bit of an advantage with flash, I believe, without quick draw. Flash has a greater range. They both give you hit markers. Concussion, but you know, the concussion stuns, so it sort of blurs and slows movement. Flash only blinds the opponent. So depending on your situation, I mean, if you're using flash with, I believe it's marksman, or actually, sorry, recon, if you're using flash, you'll have a greater radius. You'll mark your targets in a greater radius of effect with the flashes. So it's up to you. I've been using concussions. I might actually switch it up to flashes, but even so, like on the smaller maps, if you tend to flash yourself often, you may consider concussion because it has a smaller radius. So, you know, on maps like Hard Hat or whatever mission, you might consider going with the concussion. All right, moving on to the perks. Perk number 1. There's only one perk you're going to use here for a rush class: extreme conditioning. The whole point of rushing is to get in position. It's not, again, I'm going to talk about this probably throughout this whole series. It's not about running all over the map, doing, you know, 2 circles on the map every round, okay? It's about getting into position. It's about getting a jump on your opponent. It's about getting, you know, getting to a point on the map quicker than anybody else and surprising your enemies if possible. You can't do that without extreme conditioning, okay? And the pro version, you know, if you have to jump over anything or through anything on the way, it's only going to help you even more. None of these other perks matter for a rush class. Alright, we're going to have some discussion on perk 2. I think at least 4 to 5 of these perks have a basis for a rush class at some point. What I would recommend sort of as a base class would be Quick Draw. And Quick Draw Pro is actually a pretty cool advantage as well, especially if you're using claymores and you're throwing flashes and stuns. You can recover from using the equipment a lot more quickly than without the Pro version. I tend to use this on some of the larger maps. You know, outside of Hard Hat and Mission, I'd probably stick with Quick Draw. Whereas with those other two maps, the smaller maps, and there may be a couple others, Dome, for instance, you might want to use Blast Shield. And the Pro version is pretty important, so make sure you got Pro unlocked, because it'll give you that resistance to flashes and stuns. I mean, people throw freaking stun grenades like crazy on some of the smaller maps, and it's very, very difficult to avoid getting hit by them. With Blast Shield Pro, at least you'll have that much more of an advantage to get past those stuns and flashes. So that's what I would recommend going in between those 2 perks. I would also have a class set up with Assassin Pro, or just Assassin if you don't have Pro version unlocked. But I would switch to that class. I would never use Assassin on the first round of a search game. Okay, number 1, you know, they may get a UAV partway in the round, but you know they don't have it right at the outset. So, you know, my mindset going into a round is that, hey, we're not going to let these guys get 3 kills or 2 kills if they're running hardline to be able to even get a UAV. Now, you're going to have to, you know, assess the situation. If in the first round you see enemy players that are using portable radar, thermal I don't really care about, or heartbeat sensors, if they're using it, I mean, you know, more than one person. If they're using those things, then you may consider switching to assassin for the remainder of the game. Otherwise, I would only switch to an assassin, your assassin class, if you know that the enemy potentially has a UAV for the next round, and then that's when I would make the switch. Hardline Pro, you may also want to use this, but only in combination if you're using the Specialist Strike Package. We'll talk about the Specialist Strike Package in a minute or two, but that's when I would you know, consider using Hardline to help unlock additional perks as you get kills while playing in Search. Alright, if perk 2 wasn't enough, we got perk 3, and honestly, this is where you can just customize it depending on the way you play the game. I mean, every single one of these perks in perk 3, well, except for Marksman, which really doesn't have any use in a rush class, maybe for if you're sniping or whatever, but not rushing, definitely not. Stalker, you know, if you run into enemy equipment, like Claymores, Betties, you can run past them. If you tend to aim down your sights, unlike me, then you can actually move faster while you're aiming. Sit Rep Pro, if you're rushing, with me, I tend to, you know, looking at Claymores, I tend to know where people are going to place Claymores. I know a lot of the spots because I use Claymores regularly. That's why I don't typically use Sit Rep. Although the Pro version would give you, you know, your sound whoring, it would improve your sound whoring with louder enemy footsteps. Regardless, I don't typically use Sit Rep. I may consider it as a strike package for the Specialist as one of the perks. But definitely, you know, if you're rushing and you can identify those Claymores or the Betties and you're not necessarily used to where people place them, then it's a good perk to utilize. Steady Aim, I typically use Steady Aim. I'd like to hip fire, of course. And especially with the Pro version, though, the Pro version is a good advantage, and that's one reason why I would say maybe you do want to use Steady Aim with Pro unlocked, because when you're rushing, I'm sprinting, I have extreme conditioning, I'm sprinting, and if I see somebody and I get surprised and they already have their sights up, it at least gives me a chance to get my sight, get my weapon up. Whether I'm aiming down the sight or not, I'll still be able to get my weapon up and fire more quickly than not having the Pro version. That's a good argument to have Steady Aim. And then there's Dead Silence Pro. They can't hear you coming, plus the fall damage with the Pro version. So it's up to you guys. Take your pick amongst the 5 perk 3s. I would definitely recommend Steady Aim Pro because of that weapon is ready faster after sprinting advantage. Alright, what strike package are we going to use here, Spider? For a rush class? Well, I don't like having to control point streak rewards, nor do I like having to wait for them, which is typical with the assault strike package. The first one being the UAV, but then where do you go from there? The care package, the IMS, the Predator, the Sentry Gun. You have to wait and or control for all of those, so I don't really like using the assault package at all when I'm rushing and search and destroy. Support, I would consider support. UAV, counter UAV, and maybe at least calling in ballistic vests for your teammates. But even with ballistic vests, you got to call them in, and then it takes however long to equip the vest. It's just more of a pain in the ass, if you ask me. So that's why I don't like that either. But the UAV and counter UAV definitely advantages, and maybe you just want to have the ballistic vest or even airdrop trap, whatever. Not my cup of tea, anyways. The Specialist is the one I'd probably go for, and people might argue, well, that's selfish, that's not helping your team. Hey man, if I have all the perks, or I have additional perks, and I'm getting kills, and I'm helping support the team, that's helping the team, I'm sorry. Maybe it's not a UAV, so everybody can't see where, the other guys are that don't run Assassin, or whatever. That's fine, but, at the same time, I don't have to worry about my third perk here for support. So Specialist, it's really, again, just preference. What perks do you want to unlock first? One thing I would say is, there's an argument to using Hardline as your second perk in order to unlock your next Specialist perk with 1 kill instead of 2, so you may consider that. I don't typically do it. I just run whatever, and it's mainly because I was trying to unlock the pro versions of the perks. But they're all good perks, like, you know, or most of them are decent perks. So maybe the first one, if you're running quick draw, you want blast shield or you want sit rep. I guess it really depends on personal preference, to be honest with you. So just select whichever ones you want, and you know, after 7 or 8 kills, you're going to have them all anyway, so what difference does it make, right? Because we do that every game. No, just kidding. Anyways, so I'd recommend support, UAV, counter UAV, I don't care what you use after that, and or specialist, and, you know, just tell the people that are arguing with you that you're not helping out the team by saying, yeah, I'm helping out the team because I'm getting even more damn kills than I would have got otherwise. So there you go. And last but not least, we have Death Streak. Now, I mean, I really wouldn't care about this. Honestly, if you're going to get killed 4 times in a row, and it's happened to me on occasion, I'd never like to see that I got a Death Streak in Search and Destroy. It really, really sucks. But if you're going to get anything, may as well get juiced. Whatever. It's going to help you on the next round. You know, you don't get the full timed moving faster. If you play, like, for instance, free-for-all or whatever, you'll get the full juice time. The timer that counts down before the round starts actually takes time off the juice, so you only get it for a couple of seconds. But regardless, it still gives you that little bit of extra push to get into your position sooner. So for a rush class, it only makes sense to have juiced on, and hopefully you never get that Death Streak perk. I think I have. Damn it! Well, hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of our Modern Warfare 3 Search and Destroy Rushing Tactics show. This one was class setup. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about things that you're going to be doing, thinking about before you go into each round in Search, and some of the things that you need to look at while you're in round. Topics will cover planning your attack, sprinting before the timer on every single round so you get that extra jump, knowing where your confrontations will occur and preparing for them, adapting to the changing conditions during the round by monitoring what's happening, and then planning the next round of attack based on what's occurred in previous rounds. So lots of stuff that we're going to fit in, and then after that episode we're going to start looking at you know, maybe even that spans 2 episodes, we're not sure yet, but following that we'll get into map specific strategies, tactics, rush routes, whatever, and we may drop a few videos in between amongst the midst of map videos, just discussing various things, maybe other similar, you know, tips and tricks and other strategies that you can use while you're rushing in Search and Destroy. Again, hope you guys enjoyed. Please rate and comment the video and let us know what your feedback is. What do you guys think? We want to hear from you. Until next time, Spider Bite out.